Hello guys, welcome back to another video. In this video we're going to be going over whether or not you can change your body type. A lot of people feel like they're stuck at one certain type of body type. They feel like if they're fat, they're going to be fat forever. They feel like they have naturally quick metabolisms and they can't gain weight. They're always going to be skinny, they're never going to be buff. And some people are skinny fat. They just feel like their bodies aren't made to be in shape. And we're going to be going over body types and do they even really matter or not. We're going to be looking over a video from Mike Israel, a doctor, smart guy. Not a doctor, but he has a doctorate, so he's a pretty smart guy. He'll be going over some of the principles, and I'll be trying to add my spin on it to explain some of the topics, dumb it down a little bit for you guys so that you can understand. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright guys, so here we are looking over this video. We're going to be seeing what Dr. Mike has to say. And yeah, let's get started.
Hey folks, Dr. Mike here for Renaissance Periodization. What body type are you, and how does knowing that help you maximize your muscular potential, your fat burning, and make you generally happier? Well, let's find out. Last I checked, there were 3 body types. You gotta be one of these, right? There's the endomorph, which is someone who's potentially muscular but also carries lots of fat, kind of the average power lifter. Yeah. There's an ectomorph, in which case you're like a skinny pencil neck guy,
world's strongest
lean,
man,
but can't get jacked. And then there's the mesomorph,
and
who's like
that's
the Chad,
like
getting all the
rider.
girls at the parties, super wide shoulders, narrow waist, super jacked.
And that's more like the superhero.
3 different body types to explain all of the variation in humanity. Well, which one are you, and how do you optimize your training? The answer is body types are fucking bullshit.
Exactly.
I share YouTube algorithms and kick off my monetization because I'm swearing so soon, but for the love of God, it's all sorts of wrong.
Oh shoot, I just realized that how my camera blocking his face.
And they still
my bad, guys.
And it's very, very easy to poke holes in this notion of body types. Let's get started. 2 real easy hole poke opportunities. First, what if you're prone to putting on fat, but not prone to putting on muscle? There actually is no category in the 3 body types for you. Because remember, the endomorph is someone who's like supposed to be pretty jacked, but also fat. The ectomorph is not fat or jacked. The mesomorph has a shitload of muscle and very little fat. Where the hell are skinny fat people? That's a real thing, guys. That's a real thing.
A lot of people are
skinny fat. And they just totally forgot
people
about it.
People who don't train, don't eat a lot, but eat bad food for what they do eat.
Potential champion powerlifter. There's tons of people that are really easily put on body fat, but not easily
they
put on
don't
muscle.
Train that hard.
They're fat and weak. But it sucks.
Or they just have really bad genetics.
The reality and the fact that the scale missed this altogether, and
unhealthy food too. So,
like, wait a minute,
so you get skinny fat people.
Type of human, right?
You don't have to necessarily have bad genetics.
Right? It's kind of insane, and it in fact reflects that the scale is total dog shit. And what if
you just want to remember
you are
that
prone to
genetics
putting on muscle, right? And being lean,
displayed depending on what you do, so you can have very bad natural genetics, but if you train, you get really huge. Some people could be pretty good normally train and just have small difference from training.
But you're still jacked overall, and you're still lean. Are you a mesomorph? Are you an endomorph? They literally just don't have a scale for you in the system, so the system is crap. Now, does that mean there's no such thing as body types? Sort of, but we can have a logical categorization and a logical scale that works a lot better. There are at least 3 scales or spectra on which most people can be categorized related to bodies. Okay?
Exactly.
And each one of these has 2 poles, ends of the spectrum, which means there are at least 6 body types.
Muscularity,
so
bone thickness,
really, there's a continuum because it's not like you're either one side or the other. Most people are somewhere in between. Right? It's like using, skin color, for example, and saying, okay, you're either like stark pale, what the fuck is that? Powder, that weird-ass movie I referenced before, powder white or like jet black. Well, like there are very few people out that are either one of those. The entire human race is just on a continuous spectrum all the way between there. Like, where the hell's J-Lo? Somewhere in the middle. It's always my concern is where's J-Lo? Just in general. Hey, J-Lo, I hope you watch my videos.
Yeah.
Anyway,
human diversity
is a thing, and it's mostly a spectral thing. We can talk about the poles, so let's talk about them real quick. And remember,
not all of us can be
somewhere in the middle.
Bodybuilders, not all of us can be NBA players because
you can have
most don't
thicker
have those
bones
genetics.
or thinner bones, usually. Some people have somewhere
Both
between.
bones are highly
shown,
adaptable
we'll talk about
too.
this later, that your bone structure can actually determine your muscularity to some extent, or correlates to it. So we'll keep that in the back pocket. But first of all, bone structure, right? It can mean like you have super ultra wide shoulders, or super narrow shoulders, ultra wide hips, or super narrow hips. Because remember, that's not really body fat or muscle, that's actually bones. Next is muscularity. You can be very little muscle all the way to a ton of muscle. Independent to some extent to bone structure, okay? So if you look at someone like, Dexter Jackson, famous pro bodybuilder, he doesn't exactly have huge bones. As a matter of fact, he doesn't. He has a ton of muscle, which makes him an excellent bodybuilder. But you can't exactly come up to Dexter Jackson and be like, yeah, man, you have a huge frame. Like, that's fundamentally false, okay? So it absolutely can be that you have tons of muscle, but not such big bones. Not usually, but that's absolutely a thing. Lastly, is adiposity.
No, like Dexter Jackson's a bodybuilder.
Fat, or you can have more fat.
If you guys don't know.
Some people are, most people are somewhere in the middle of that spectrum, and you can be any combination of these things, which really leads to like 6 body types. Like you can have thin bones, more muscle and more fat, or you can have thick bones, more muscle, more fat, or thin bones and less muscle and less fat, and so on and so forth. Right? So maybe there's 6 body types, maybe, but hold on, it gets a little bit more complicated. There are other variables we could add into the equation. First, skeletal ratios.
Yes, very important.
You could have wide hips and narrow shoulders. Okay, a lot of females are of that body structure. You could have narrow hips and wide shoulders. That's the guy at the party getting the girls or whatever. I've never been to a party or gotten girls, so it's all theory.
Very true.
And then, of course, there's everything in between.
Not
so we
could talk about that.
We could talk about muscle growth potential,
it's the
which
most
can be significantly different
body type
from where you started untrained. Okay, some individuals
and it's not really a body type, it's just the shape of your bones.
But they end up real jacked. I'm actually lucky to be in this category, people, and wave my own fucking flag over here. But when I started lifting, I was like roughly the same height, like 5'2", 5'3". I would legit like 100 pounds. Over the summer between my freshman and sophomore year, I saw the scale go to 97 pounds. Okay? No joke. It was an interesting thing to see as sort of adult. And then I was the little guy my entire life. And when I started lifting weights, I just grew and I grew and I grew. And natty versus not aside, by the time I had peaked my natty abilities, I was a fucking jack dude. And I literally had a professor of anatomy tell me, he's like, you have big bone structure. You're always meant to be big. And I was like, that's false. And he just wouldn't want to hear it, right? So where you start and where you end up can be 2 very different things.
I have a similar story to this guy.
Way more pronounced.
Although this guy's shorter than me.
His first bodybuilding show, he was like 120 or 130 pounds on stage. Nobody at that show was like, future pro, man, he's going to be an Olympian one day. Fuck that. They're like, that tiny little twig kid quit do like endurance running or something. But he just kept adding muscle, and some people are capable of that, some people are not. Other people, you guys probably went to high school with people like this. They were like a 170 lean in high school, which in high school is a fucking gigantic person, right? And then like you see them years later and they've been training and they've been eating and they're like 180 lean and they're like 24 and you're like, fuck, I guess you just didn't have a huge adaptive window. That's really a thing. So that's another kind of body type we could talk about. And then of course, fat loss potential, same idea. Some people, they aren't super lean or super fat, but it's really hard for them to get much leaner. And it's hard for them to get much fatter. Their metabolism is really, really adaptable. They start eating more food. They start burning fat like crazy. They get super hot at night. They can't sleep. They get like a ton of energy and move around. And when they try to lose a lot of fat, they get really
genetics
tired.
are a very strong role.
Well,
you appear,
have a huge magnitude of change.
These body types things aren't real.
Up to 300 pounds, and then over the course of a year, go back 150 pounds and feel totally fine about both of those. So fat loss potential is definitely a thing, which we could also factor in. All of these are to say, it's first of all to get you guys thinking about that this is complex, is a funny way to pronounce that. This is complex. And then 2, just to remind you that this shit is complex. It's not just 3 body types. That's nonsense. Now,
it's going to get me demonetized if it gives that cursing.
Yes, to a certain extent. Skeleton size and muscle gain potential are decently related. That does not mean they're perfectly related.
I love this chart. This chart really has.
On average, you'll be able to gain more muscle. So we can kind of combine the bones and the muscularity into one variable, fold them in. It's a shitty approximatory variable, but nonetheless, it can be a thing. And initial muscularity and initial fatness are decently related to potential. So if you've been really lean your life and pretty muscular your whole life, there's a better than not chance your ability to stay lean and gain muscle is really good. If you've been super fat and super weak your whole life, yes, it's possible that you have the genetics to really alter yourself if you start training, but on average, you probably will have not so great genetics for that, and you'll probably be a little bit fatter and a little bit less muscular than the average person, no matter how hard you try within reason, right? So because we can fold some variables in, we can actually get 2 variables, 2 spectra, and we can put them on as axes right across from each other. That's what you see in your screen right now. And of course, the y-axis is muscularity, how much muscle you have, and the x-axis is how much fat you
Yeah,
have.
but it's hard to describe that because you also don't have
put
those
very scientific
skeleton size
labels onto these.
But like
So
you said,
if
it's
you are
usually pretty related.
super muscular, but you also have plenty of fat, you're like a strongman powerlifter.
And also,
okay?
muscle insertions play a role, very important role how you look.
Sort of
so muscle could be put in different parts of the body.
But not a ton of muscle, which
Your
is the bottom right-hand corner.
biceps could be wide or
You'll be dreaming
thin.
about sex the rest of your life. And, you know, that's where I am on that, by the way. And then if you have not so much muscle, but also not so much fat, you're probably emo or goth, and you're going to concerts with your friends and, you know, painting your face and shit like that. And then, of course, if you have a shitload of muscle and very little fat, you're a Chad. You're the guy at the party that's like, hey, baby. And she's like, oh. You know, I assume that's how parties are. Correct me
Something
in the
like
comments
that.
if I'm wrong. What are parties like? But seriously, all jokes aside, the body type scale, endo, ecto, meso, is total BS.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, if you're Googling what type of body type I am, or
Ignore
how
it.
should I eat for my
Not
body
true.
type, cut that shit out. Start Googling, how do I get jacked and lean? Find my videos and fucking watch them, JK. There's tons
This
of
guy
great
has good
content out there.
videos.
At the end of the day, all the content's of this. You just got to do your best. Okay,
Train hard, consistent,
eat well,
consistency, always
watch your
be
results
consistency.
unfold, and then
High protein
invest as much
diet.
continual time and energy doing that as you find worth it. So, for example, if you become pretty jacked and lean,
Low calories,
and
you want to be
like
lean.
the result and you like the process, get
Reduce
huge and
calories
nasty,
slowly.
100%. If you
Watch my
struggle
last
with
video,
either getting
guys, if you
jacked
want to
or getting
learn
lean,
how
even
to
both,
do a proper
but you
weight
love the
cut.
change and you love the
Or
challenge,
another video
then
before, if
do
you guys
it.
want to see one of my
Awesome.
first videos that I did.
If you just want to be
From when I
healthy,
came
you don't
back
really care
and
about
I
how you
look over
look,
my own
then
weight cut journey.
congratulations, you're a normal fucking person.
That'd be a good
You could just
video to
lift weights a
watch.
few times a week, play all your favorite sports, enjoy your favorite hobbies, eat like a reasonable person most of the time, and enjoy your life because you're not a psychotic, overly infatuated with yourself asshole like the rest of us. See you guys in the comments.
Exactly. Well, I feel like Dr. Mike here had a lot of interesting things. I recommend you guys go watch his videos. Very educational. I like him. I like Coach Greg, all those other guys they have. Although recently I've been seeing that they're always disputing against each other. I love these guys. These guys have great information on how to do a proper diet, training routine, supplements, what certain supplements do, what certain supplements don't do. Really in-depth, good, high-quality stuff. So I recommend you guys watch this. And I also think that, like I said in this video, and I've also done another video where I do my own in-depth analysis over the body types. Mesomorph, endomorph, ectomorph, all that stuff is a bunch of BS, bunch of nonsense. You guys don't want to be doing any of that stuff. That stuff is distraction. Your genetics play a role in your training or whatever, but in general, most people could train for a very long time. They train 10 years, and they'll have a relatively solid physique. Unless you have really, really bad genetics. And even at that point, you won't have at least an average physique. It's pretty hard for you to have below average physique if you try. You always, no matter what though, can improve what you have already. So there's people who I've seen without legs and stuff, and they train and they get as jacked as they can, and they improve themselves. So why can't you do that? Work hard, stay consistent, and yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.